Hi everybody. I wanted to do a video today. I haven't done one in a little while to kind of update everybody where things are at. And today I want to talk about my feelings and emotions and kind of how I'm moving through some of that stuff. So first things first, today is the 27th of January. My surgery was scheduled for the 21st and I have not had surgery. So I went in on the 18th and for my pre-op appointment. And of course, when I left out of there, they gave me a COVID screen and test, and I tested positive for COVID. It was really pretty sad. I'd done a lot to try to keep myself from being exposed, but of course the numbers here where I am are really high. They were really high at Deja's school and some of those places, and I did not quarantine from Deja and Ryan. So, but you know, it is what it is. I was really sad for about 2 days, let myself lay around and read. I did not feel bad physically. And so now I'm just kind of sitting into the space of, whatever reason there is, maybe someone else got to slide into my surgery spot who was more of an emergency than me and needed to have that surgery that day. And I have the good fortune of having a little bit of wait time available for me, and maybe some other people don't. So that's really kind of where my thought process has landed. And I am pretty okay with where things are at. I have to just get ready again. My new surgery date is March 18th, so another 2 months out from when my surgery date was supposed to be. So that's okay though. It gives me the opportunity to work and plan even better than I had planned the first time. So things are going pretty well. When I started this process, I felt like being able to talk about what was happening for me would be really helpful in helping me process my feelings and deal with things, and it absolutely has been. So I love this format, and I also love that I can share my story. And one of my hopes is that by sharing my story that I can help other people. And one of the ways in which, for me, I want to be able to do that is through helping people understand their emotions and ways that they can regulate them better, or in a way that creates less distress for their own personal lives. And I have really the good fortune of having a decade of working with learning emotions, and how to apply skills to help regulate emotions. And so this was really an opportunity this whole year, 2021 and into 2022 has really been an opportunity for the rubber to meet the road for me, to really say, you teach people this and you preach it, and can you apply it? And I'm really, really thankful to say that on most days, I've been able to apply a lot of the skills that I have learned and developed over a decade of working with emotions and people, because mainly I've been pretty emotionally steady. There's definitely been some hard moments, but there really hasn't been any emotional valleys, I would say, for me, where I have been overwhelmed and unable to kind of pull out of the fear and the sadness, even though those emotions are definitely there. And so I want to share a little bit about what I have been doing to move through my emotions that has been helpful to me and hopefully will be helpful to people in the future. And because I know my family watches this video, I'm also going to give a couple things that I have not been doing, but I know would be vastly helpful for myself and other people. But Ryan and Deja are going to watch this video and keep me honest, and they're going to be like, Yeah, Kayla, you're not working out 30 minutes a day every day. You can't say that. So I'm not going to say that, but I am going to, at the end of the video, tell you guys some other things that maybe if I would add them, I'd be doing even better. So first for me, it has been that day of getting my diagnosis. Well, even I think it started before that day. A friend of mine sent me a video, a TED Talk when Rebecca died. And the TED Talk is by Lucy Hone, and it's called 3 Secrets of Resilient People. And this video has carried me through the loss of Rebecca. And it was almost one of the first things that I thought about when I got my diagnosis. And I have really tried to apply those skills. And I'll put the link for that video in the bio. But one of the things that it says resilient people do 3 things, okay? And resilient people, number 1, they get stuff happens. Stuff happens to everybody. People die. People get cancer. People leave. People hurt us. Like no single person in the history of forever gets to escape pain. And we all have it, and we don't get to pick, the level of pain that we have. We don't get to pick any of that. So the video talks so much about resilient people. Just know, like, the pain that I'm experiencing isn't because I'm awful, or isn't because life hates me, or, isn't some punishment. It's just life happens. And so that's the first thing that the video talks about. The second thing is resilient people select their attention. So they focus on things on purpose that they can control, or things that sort of make meaning for them. And then the third thing is the question, is what I'm doing right now helping me or hurting me? So that video, almost instantly, I remember getting into my sister's vehicle after we came out of the doctor's office, and I remember thinking about that video and thinking about those 3 steps. And so for me, it helped me almost immediately roll into what I call like problem-focused coping versus the emotion-focused coping. So for me, rolling into problem solving and rolling into, okay, what does this mean? What do we have to do? And so for me, that allows me to know that my emotions are there, and to have them, but to really select a time for me to be able to sort through them versus letting them pick when they're going to come, and kind of overwhelming me in times. So I think that's where I have started. And that video made me really start thinking about, okay, what are the things that I need to do to kind of shore myself up, to make sure that I am setting myself up for success. And so I have been really diligent about creating and sticking to a helpful morning routine. And so there's kind of 3 pieces to my morning routine that has been really useful to me. And the first one is I do a devotion. I love Bob Goff. I love his sort of unfiltered, unconditional love that he has for people. And so my devotion in the morning is the devotion written by Bob Goff. And so that really helps me just to center and focus myself on love and living big. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I'm doing in the morning is a gratitude journal. And so every day I am attempting to write 3 things that I'm really grateful for. And what has been interesting about this process is that, at first it's the typical things. I'm thankful for my daughter and my husband. I'm thankful for my siblings. I'm thankful for my parents. I'm thankful for, all the regular things that we get thankful for. But then after about 7-8 days, you've exhausted those, and your brain starts to pay attention in the day to other things, little bitty, teeny, tiny things that you can be thankful for. So, now I notice, like, oh my gosh, look at that blue bird that's outside my kitchen window. And I am thankful for that. Oh my gosh, I am so thankful that, Walmart had my dog's bones today because they haven't had them. And so, what it has done for me is throughout the day, it helps me notice these little bitty teeny tiny things that I get to be thankful for. And it helps me to not feel sad. It's hard to be sad when you have so many things that you're noticing that you get to be thankful for. And the third thing that I am doing in my morning routine is setting a morning intention. And my morning intention is in 3 parts. The first one is like, who do I want to be as a person today? And for me, that typically centers around I want to be present with the people. I want to be present with Deja and Ryan. I don't want to be distracted or frustrated or mean. And initially that, it's hard for me because sometimes when I get into that problem solving coping that what I do is I sort of ignore being present. And so this just helps me in the morning set my attention for who do I want to be today as a mom, who do I want to be as a wife, a sister, an aunt, a friend. And that really helps me. The other thing in my intention is I also pick one thing to do or accomplish at home, and one thing that I want to accomplish at work. And so that morning routine has really helped me to every single day be intentional about what I'm focusing on and who I want to be that day. And it keeps me from, having a pity party. It keeps me from falling down a hole. So I have been super faithful to that morning routine. The other thing that I am so thankful for and that has helped me so much is I feel well. So I really have still been able to work. And for me, my job, I get to pour into, I hope that I'm pouring into the lives of my clients the way that they pour into my life. Because being able to sit with people, it highlights for me, you know what, some people have it way worse than I have it. Some people don't have it as bad as I am right now, but they still have stuff. And it really highlights for me, life happens to everybody and none of us are exempt from bad stuff. And it also gives me, when I can focus on loving on the people in front of me, it really takes my mind off of my own personal struggles. So working, the staying busy aspect and the ability to help people has been really helpful for me. The other thing that's been really helpful for me is my support system. I cannot even put to words how thankful I am and how supported I have been. I have kind of in previous years really worked on growing and developing a really awesome support system. I have a beautiful network of family, and I have a beautiful network of girlfriends who all of these people love on me, care about me. They lift me up when things are hard. They cry for me. They laugh with me. They send me memes. They go out of their way to do things for me. And it has just been so uplifting. I cannot imagine going through this process without my people. And I am so, so, so thankful for them. The other thing that I've done is I kind of told everybody at the beginning, everybody asks you, what can I do? What can I do? And I said, you know what? I promise that if I know that I need something, I'll ask. And so that is something that I've really stuck to. And I've asked for some real specific things that I knew that I would need in preparing for surgery and coming home from surgery. And so that's something that has been helpful for me. I'm not doing this as faithfully as I should. Not as I should, but I'm not doing it as faithfully as probably would be helpful to me. And it's journaling, just really writing through some of my feelings when they come up. One of the things that I know that I struggle with is my anxiety and my worry and my fear shows up. I call it rage anxiety. It shows up as anger. I'm really quick to throw out anger and or agitation, annoyance, as a cover up to my fear, as a cover up to my worried. And journaling helps me see that a little bit. So that is something that I'm probably going to try to work a little bit harder on so that I can really stay in tuned, so that I'm not being agitated or annoyed with the people that I care about the most. The other thing that for me has been helpful is the idea of thought stopping. So naturally, my brain wants to go to worst case scenario. And worst case scenario is, really all it does is send me crazy into panic, because worst case scenario means for me, like, I die. And so being able to go, hold up, like, that thought is not helpful to you. You're not going to sit here and think about it. So that's the first piece. The second piece for me is I know when I start thinking worst case scenario that I need a plan. So I do allow myself to look at my worst case scenario picture and say, okay, for me, worst case scenario is I will die. A, I am not going to die. B, I'm not going to die. That's not something that I'm even like taking time on. But if I don't take time on thinking about it, I know that it's way easier for me to loop into that panic. So I make a plan. I think about, where's my life insurance? Have I said, done, expressed all the things that I wanted to express to the people that I really care about? Does anybody know the password to my computer? Is Ryan going to know the passwords to all of our stuff? And so I made a plan for that. So then when that fear pops up for me, I can go, hold up, Kayla Brooke, you have a plan, you know what you're doing, but thinking about this any further than that is just going to freak you out. So get up and do something else. And so for me, that's something that I do that's helpful. Kind of with that, I'm a big believer in what we water grows. So the more that I think about something that is fearful, the more fear I'm going to grow. The more that I think about something that's negative, the more negativity I'm going to grow. But it works in the other way too. The more that I focus on love, the more love I'm going to grow. The more I focus on what's going right for me, the more positivity I'm going to grow. But on days when things are really hard, sometimes I don't have my own thoughts. And so I do what I call saturate my brain. I think about when I water my plant, I saturate it with water. So on days that are really a struggle for me, I saturate my brain with positivity. So I am listening to podcasts. I am watching TED Talks and YouTube videos. I'm reading books that sort of build in that framework of positivity around me, so that my brain, when it goes to a thought, it's got something in there that's positive. And so saturating my brain around some really helpful things is another way that I keep myself lifted on days that are really hard for me. So all in all, I've been emotionally doing pretty well, and physically. I'm thankful for that and for the people. So there are a couple things that I'm not doing that I know would be useful to do. And one of those is exercising. There's a great book where I learned like so much information about the power of exercise. It's called Burnout, Completing the Stress Cycle by Emily Nagoski. I'll also put that in the link in the bio, but it talks about how 30 minutes of physical movement a day sort of cleans out the stress chemicals that's in your body and keeps you mentally well and healthy, as well as physically well and healthy. So if I was doing 30 minutes of exercise a day, I think that would be really helpful for me. I do love to walk, and so I want to try to add that. For a while I was doing really great, and then it got cold, and I'm not great about being cold. So, and then the other thing that I want to be adding is noticing my agitation. I know for me and for so many people, when we get agitated, it's really something else. Agitation, frustration, anger, those are all sort of secondary emotions. They're just this cover up that I use to really um, not focus on what's actually bothering me, because it's easier to just be frustrated at the people around me. And so I really hope that in the coming weeks I can pay attention to when I get annoyed and stop myself and say, okay, what's really happening here for you? So that I can respond in more loving ways to people around me, so that I'm not, rolling my eyes or being frustrated. Because, like all of us, if we're gonna be our worst versions of ourselves, we're gonna do it with the people that we care the most about. And I don't want to do that. That's one of the things that, when I think about what I want to take away from this, is, am I being the best version of myself to the people that really matter the most to me? Did they get my very best? And so I hope that that's something that I add. So that's kind of my emotional picture right now. I appreciate all the love and the support and the care and the kindness that I get. Um, Thank you for sticking with me and for supporting me and loving me and care about me. I hope you guys have a great week.